The Center for Family Justice will be celebrating officially 125 years. 125 years of a journey for an organization that started as YWCA in 1895, became the Center for Women and Families in 1997, creating agencies that were helping victims of abuse, and then 2016 becoming the Center for Family Justice.
Transitioning to the Center for Family Justice made a huge difference for our clients because walking in the door is the hardest thing. Asking for help is so difficult.
And it wasn't obviously just a name change. It's a change in focus, it's a change in services, it's an expansion of the relationships in the community with law enforcement. So that switch over has been enormously important.
For over 125 years, YWCA, the Center for Women and Families, and now the Center for Family Justice has helped clients of every race, creed, and gender who have been physically or sexually abused or victims of child abuse to empower them to find a pathway to survivorship.
A victim of abuse statistically will go through our system 7 to 10 times. When they come to the Center for Family Justice, they're getting what they need. in the second or third time because they don't have to go all over town to get what they need. We're coordinating that effort for them.
The Center for Family Justice brings everything together in one place. People who need help, they come with their families, they need a lawyer, they need a social worker, they need help with their finances. Their children need to know how to cope with this. They need protection, they need the police to intervene. They can find all that in one place now.
So for victims who want to come and seek the advice of the police officer, we're here physically in the building, so it saves them so many steps from having to go then from the center to a police department. So with us being physically here, it provides an extra layer of protection, and I think another layer of comfort for the victims themselves.
Back in the mid to late 90s, there was a push in the country to have multidisciplinary teams and child advocacy centers. There was a big problem with child sexual abuse cases, and that the child was being interviewed by a number of people along the time, whether it be by the police, the teacher, a parent, medical personnel, whatever it may be. So working with the governor's task force and a couple of agencies in the area, eventually it was agreed upon that back then the Center for Women and Families would be the vehicle that would operate the multidisciplinary team.
You know, children, they're so vulnerable, and for them to go through an experience like that and then have to just, you know, talk to multiple strangers at multiple times can just add to the devastation of being abused.
The idea for the Safe House started because women would come here with no place to go. They were in extremely abusive situations, sometimes mental, but almost always physical. And they would call the hotline, and the hotline would give them the number of the YW or the center, but they still had to go back. And they all knew people who were in similar situations who had been murdered by their abuser. So they came here for help, but they didn't get real help unless they had a place to go that was safe. That was when the Safe House really had to be created. And they were allowed to stay there with their children and all the services that they needed for as long as they needed to be safe.
When our clients have to go to court without representation, that puts them at yet another disadvantage with their abusers. We now have 2 staff attorneys that is available to work with our clients, that can go with them, represent them, and really speak the language of the law so that they can focus on their own healing.
We forget that when the women come here with their families, that their children are suffering too, and that the children need to reach out to other people who are in the same situation. They form a group, they form their own family, and they become linked together probably forever. And Camp Hope gives them the opportunity to go away, be together in a safe place, do fun things, have some counseling, and really be with other people that are like them.
Camp Hope America is one of the only year-long mentoring and camping programs in the world for children who have been impacted by trauma, including domestic and sexual violence. Here at Camp Hope America Bridgeport, we are second highest in the country of increase in hope. What we know is that 1 week of Camp Hope is equivalent to 4 months of therapy. The goal of our Hope Heroes is to really just inspire kids with stories of other people who have been through similar experiences, to show them that they're not alone and that their futures are not defined by their past.
2 years ago, I was definitely not the person who I am today. I was less outgoing. I didn't feel like myself. I didn't love myself as much, and now I do, and I'm more outgoing.
I was kind of nervous. I didn't really know anyone. I kind of shied away from talking to people, and I didn't really think that anyone could relate to my situation or relate to the person I was. And Camp Hope has helped me become open to new ideas. It's helped me make friends. It's helped me just become a better person.
The one thing that hasn't gone away is domestic violence. I've said it's the first crime, it's going to be the last crime. So I hope that the center will continue to be able to be funded sufficiently, that it will be able to provide the services that are necessary.
I'm proud that the organization's been able to assist them and help them survive a critical part in their life.
I want us to be a beacon of hope. I want us to be a place where anyone who needs us knows they can come. Our doors are always open.
Because one thing we've learned into the future is we can break the intergenerational cycle of abuse. And through technology, through our community education department, through our advocacy, through our counseling, through all the services that we've worked so hard on, we know we're taking another giant leap into the future as we start to prepare for the next 125 years. Good evening, everyone. My name's Deborah Greenwood. I have the privilege of being the president and CEO of the Center for Family Justice here in Bridgeport, Connecticut. We serve the greater Bridgeport area, and today we can't all be together outside in each one of your towns. It's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And today we'd like to share some very important messages with all of you to not only remember, but also to honor those in our communities and in our families, whether it's our sisters, our mothers, our brothers, our daughters, our grandchildren that have been affected by abuse. And to know that the Center for Family Justice provides 24/7 free and confidential programs and services to help support individuals, families, and children that are being affected by domestic violence. With that being said, I wish we could be in your hometown, outside, at your greens, being able to share messages, being able to hear from so many of our clients. We are going to share some wonderful information with you, but today it's a solemn remembrance of those 14 individuals in the state of Connecticut that have lost their lives due to domestic violence. We'll be hearing some very important messages from our leadership in our 6 towns of Bridgeport, Easton, Fairfield, Monroe, Stratford, and Trumbull. And with that, I'd like to turn the program over to our leadership.
October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. As we all know, domestic violence does not discriminate. It comes in all shapes and sizes.
And domestic violence isn't just an urban problem or limited to a single demographic. Smaller communities like ours must cope with this devastating social and public health issue too.
When we talk about domestic violence at an event like this, it's important to explain how complex a problem this is and how devastating it can be.
Victims everywhere face many complications because of their abuse. They include problems like homelessness and lost work. Domestic violence is our nation's leading cause of homelessness for women.
By working together to end domestic violence, we can create safer, healthier lives for all of our victims.
We hope this Domestic Violence Awareness Vigil will help raise awareness and give victims a voice.
So if you or someone you know is experiencing or could be even experiencing domestic violence, don't be afraid to reach out for help. Reach out. The best place is to the Center for Family Justice.
With October being National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, we're very proud to be part of a national movement where each one of us can make a commitment to do one thing, to stop domestic violence. With that and some of the ideas, we're being joined by many of our local police chiefs and partners in our community that can share some of those ideas.
So what's your one thing? Well, for one, you can start getting men and boys engaged in the White Ribbon Campaign.
It's a small percentage of men are abusers, and so it's critically important to encourage men and boys to end domestic violence.
The one thing I want our youth to know about healthy relationships is that it is always okay to ask for help.
One thing I want my community to know is that domestic violence cuts across all social boundaries.
One thing I want our community to know about healthy relationships
is that in a healthy relationship, there is not physical, psychological, or sexual violence.
Stratford suffered a tragic loss of life due to domestic violence, which shocked us to the core. One is too many, and the many need to do more. We need to stand up and do everything we can to make this a better, safer place.
Domestic violence comes in many forms and doesn't discriminate against age, race, social, economic status, or even gender.
There's one thing I would like to say to our young people, specifically teenagers and particularly young men, and that is the importance of your behaviors towards young women. A young woman is someone who should be respected, whose opinion is valued, and whose feelings are as equal to yours in any relationship.
We need our providers to be trained on how to perform competent, affirming, and trauma-informed care to our most vulnerable populations.
We understand that domestic violence doesn't only impact the direct person involved, but it impacts their families and the community as a whole.
The Center provides services to victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, and child abuse. They can offer safe homes, assist you with legal needs, help with counseling for you and your family, and have a 24-hour crisis hotline. If you or someone you know may need their services, do not hesitate in contacting them. Phone numbers and other valuable information can be found at their website, centerforfamilyjustice.org.
Let me ask you a question. What is your number one thing? There's value and power in your number one thing. Make sure you speak it loud and proud.
Because we really need the help. So what's my one thing? Well, you know what? I'm going to get 10 more men involved in the White Ribbon Campaign before November 1st. So if I know you and you're not engaged, maybe you're going to get a phone call. It's not hard work. You just need to be there and you need to have impact. And remember, above all else, all great things, they have to start somewhere. And I'll tell you a secret. They all start with one thing. What's yours?
So this is the most difficult part of our vigil every year. The reading of the names of the 14 individuals in Connecticut that lost their lives due to domestic violence. We'll be turning this part of the program over to our Camp Hope America Bridgeport kids, who are the future of our agency. But I'd like to also remind everyone that's listening, our hotlines are on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Please, if you know someone or you are being affected by family violence or domestic violence, please call this number, which is 203-384-9559. Again, please call this number, 203-384-9559. I'd now like to turn the rest of the program over to our Camp Hope America Bridgeport kids.